girls, just thought I would make a video of the mobility work that we did at the beginning of practice, and I'll try and post these each week as we learn more movements. It's really important that you do it at home too, and it only takes about 10 minutes a day to start making a difference where you see more mobility and an increase in your range of motion when you're at practice. So just a quick review of what we did at practice, if I can remember. If not, I might throw in something else. And same thing. So the first one that we did was the T-spine rotation. So you need to be in a tabletop position like this. And you're just going to take one hand and put it on the back of your head lightly. And then from here on an inhale, you're going to rotate open. And then on an exhale, you're going to come back down. You want to make sure that you're still pushing the floor away with the hand that's on the ground. And you want to try and maintain a good hip posture with some stability there and keep your tummy in. Okay, and you're just going to do that for 10 times on each side. I'll show you from the front. So as you can see, I have quite a bit more range of motion on this side, and that's going to be normal. You'll have one side that's better than the other. Okay, the other T-spine rotation one that we did was on the ground, and there was 3 progressions. So I'll show you each one of those. So the first one was lying on your side, hips stacked. And then you want 90 degrees from your hips, and then 90 degrees from your knees, and then 90 degrees at your feet. And then you also want your shoulders to start stacked with your hands like a book and your head on the ground. And then as you breathe in, you're going to open the book, and you want your head to follow your top hand. So that's on an inhale, and then on an exhale, you can close it. The object is to get your shoulder blades flat on the floor when you're in this open position. So if you can get to here, then you want to add the rotational piece. So you make a tent with your top hand, and on the inhale, you're going to drag it around the top until it naturally flips open, and then come back on the exhale. Okay? If you can do that okay, then the next one is to change your legs. So keeping your hips stacked, you're going to extend your lower leg, and then with your upper leg, you're going to hook your foot underneath your thigh, just above your knee. And you want to make sure that your hips are still stacked. This knee needs to stay on the ground, and your body is all in one line. Then again, you're going to open your book with the goal of see how my knee comes off. So I need to keep that knee on the ground, and I can help a little bit with this hand. And I want to have my shoulder blades again on the floor. And then if you can do that, then the next one would be again adding the rotation. Okay? Again, you can do 10 on each side for those. We did a little bit of abdominal work, and I really like this motion because it copies what we do anytime that we're in contact, like a ruck or a scrum. And so that's once again at tabletop, a nice neutral position with your back. And then you're just going to push the tops of your feet into the floor and raise your knees off the ground about an inch. So that's all it takes. And then come back down. And you want to be able to maintain your torso position the whole time, and make sure that you're pushing the ground away. So that's one other thing that I wanted to show, is just having some mobility across your scapula. And so you want to have your back, it almost looks flat, not like this, but this is actually a motion that you can practice with some contraction in order to gain some awareness in that part of your back. So again, for this one, you want to be in the position where you're pushing the ground away and then pushing the tops of feet into the floor. You can hold for a couple breaths, and then you can work at holding it for longer. Trying to remember what else we did. So there was the reverse lunge with the twist, which is the major one that we do, and it really replicates rugby the best. And so when you come back into your lunge, you want 90 degrees as much as possible. You want to make sure that you're upright. You don't want to be leaning forward. Okay, so some of you might just be here. Your front knee needs to track over top of your middle toe. Okay, you don't want to be here. Okay, and that's typically where we want to go. So you want to make sure that you're coming through the middle of your foot, and same with the back foot, okay? When we're doing this, we don't want to be tilting in like this or out. You want to try and make sure that your heel and foot stay in alignment. Okay, and then from here comes the twist. So maintaining an upright position, I'm going to take my opposite hand and just rest it on the outside of this leg. And then I'm going to try my best to come all the way around through my T-spine. If I'm doing that and I'm tilting forward or falling all over the place, then start somewhere a little bit easier. So it might be that you start with cactus arms and just try and maintain the twist like this, okay? Or, like I said, you might just be here and then maybe work on bringing your opposite arm up, okay? So once you've done this, on an exhale, then you can come here and you're going to push off that front leg, and the object is to come all the way through. I don't have enough space, but you're going to push off and land and come back into your next set of the lunge. Okay, and then you would push off and land. Okay, the next one is the inchworm. So the key to this one is that it's an active hamstring stretch, but oftentimes it's very easy to pull where the hamstring attaches into the glute. So you want to make sure that if you start the hamstring stretch and you're still a little bit cold, that it's okay to start here and then work towards more of a hamstring stretch by just bringing your hips up. Now I just got up, so I'm quite tight, so you can see that, but that's okay. It's better to do that than to stretch too far too fast. So the way this starts is that you're going to come down and touch the floor wherever you can with as much bend in your legs as you can, okay? And then from here, you're going to walk yourself out into a plank. You're going to hold that plank, and as we get better at this, we're going to add a push-up at this portion. And then from here, I'm going to stay on my toes, and with straight legs, I'm essentially going to ask my hips to come up, and I'm going to walk my feet as close to my hands as I can. So remember, right now I'm cold, so that's as far as I can get, which is fine, okay? And then from here, I would walk my hands back out again. I'm trying to remember what else we did. I can't remember, so that'll be good enough for now. So if you guys can work on those throughout the week before we get back to practice on Wednesday, and as I remember things or have extra things for you guys to do, I'll post them up on here. The other thing that's really important for you guys to be doing is myofascial release, and that needs a foam roller and or a ball. So foam rollers are pretty cheap nowadays, but they average about $40 for a good one, and you want to start off with just a smooth one. Don't get one with the bumps if you've never used one before. You're going to hurt yourself. And essentially, you can look up any videos on YouTube on how to use these. There's a lot of conflicting science about them right now, but essentially the thought is that if you have somewhere that's sore or tight feeling, that if you put pressure on that point for only up to 30 seconds, not longer than that, and then you try and do that range of motion again, you may be able to increase your range of motion. And the reasons why that occurs, I looked up a bunch of stuff this week on it, and they still don't really know. But what we know is that if it feels good up here and it feels good in the part of your body, that it may then make it easier for you and then therefore motivating to continue that range of motion. And that's a good thing. The other thing that you can use is a harder ball. This one's called an AccuBall, and I'll put a link up to it. We love it. You can warm it up if you want to, and it's got all these little nubbies, so it's pretty useful, and they have a smaller version as well. But you can just use a lacrosse ball if you want. So a few ways that you can use these is this is kind of my routine. So when I get up, I just do a general kind of superficial back massage just to kind of get things going. I'll come up onto my shoulders because I hold a bit of tension, especially in my left side. I'm having some issues there. And you can move your arms around because that's going to change the position of your scapula. So right there I've got a bit of a sore spot, so I'm just going to hold that for a second. Okay, then I'm gonna come into my lats. And then I'm just gonna find sore spots along my lats here. And this is really important for that ability to extend, both for the twist for passing and then for any overhead movements. So your lifters, hookers for throwing. So once again, I'm gonna find a bit of a sore spot and just hang out there for a second. And again, you don't wanna hang out for any more than 30 seconds. And I'm just showing you really quick, so I'm not doing it justice, but then the next thing that you can do is glutes. Now, if you have super floppy open hips like I do, I've stopped doing my glutes as much. But if you find that your glutes are really tight, like Nicole, I'm talking to you, that, you know, doing this a little bit before you go into a movement can help. So you just roll all through that glute motion or that glute area, and if you find a spot that's extra tender, then you just hang out there for a second. Once again, make sure to do both sides. Okay, the other one that I like to do are my quads and adductors. So quads are fairly simple, just rolling back and forth, but you can turn your feet out to kind of get all in there. The other thing I like to do is going into full extension and then contracting while I'm putting some pressure on the muscle. So there's a sticky spot right there, so I might move a little slower through that. So that's quads, and then adductors, just going on the inside of your leg here. Same thing, find a sore spot, hang out there for a second. Here I like to work on rotation too, so I might rotate from my hip up and down to get all the facets of that muscle there. Okay, the ball is good for getting into some smaller spaces or spaces that are hard to get pressure with the foam roller, so I like to use it for my calves especially. And same thing, you just find a spot and you hang out. And then this is really good to use for your chest and your pecs. You just go up against a wall, and same thing on your back. You can go up against a wall and do that. So highly recommend that you guys get one of these, and between the movements that I'm teaching you and this myofascial release, you should be doing about 10 to 15 minutes every day. It's the best warm-up for any workout that you're doing. So if you'd use it for your warm-up and then on your off days doing it, or on the days that you're working out, you do it twice. It's not going to hurt you, that's for sure. And so yeah, as I remember more movements, I'll just keep posting them up. And my goal is just that at practice, this becomes more automatic so that we can spend more time playing rugby and working on skills, because your guys' body awareness is improving. So thanks for watching my ridiculous self, and I will see you on Wednesday. Bye.